Around a month ago, I finished God of War, the fourth installment of a series that has long captured the hearts of gamers alike. Now, there are thousands of videos that talk about the story and mythos behind this expansive world, but I wanted to look at another aspect in particular, something I've seen a multitude of other games do. At best, it can be a hallmark, a staple in gaming. At worst, a divide in the community and industry as a whole. Shitting and farting in video games is here to stay. Let's see where it started. The history of shitting and farting is interesting because originally, the farting wasn't planned at all.
Yeah, so the boss told us he just wants a game where we're blowing stuff up. So when we finished Bomberman and we placed that original shitting sound effect, one of our sound guys messed around with the EQ, and just like that, happy accident.
EQ, short for equably, is a method of changing the hertz or frequencies of a particular sound. Ever since the team at Nintendo US and Bomberman had this happy accident, EQ has been the standard for at least the farting aspect.
Yeah, so once we handed over the final product to Nintendo, I had really no idea whether the farting would resonate with fans. Of course, shitting was always a part of video games, but Nintendo really took a chance with us, and it worked. It worked for the best, so I'm happy for that, for sure.
Nintendo, short for Nintendogs, never placed a patent on the farting aspect of video games, which makes this story different from the rest. See, ever since its fruition with Super Mario Bros., Nintendo had a patent on shitting, planned to dissolve 20 years later. And things were great, but developers were jealous. Now, Bomberman came out only 3 months after Super Mario Bros., so farting came into the scene relatively quick. The only problem was, no one heard the first fart in Bomberman until 1990. Chris Dingle, a virgin at the time and one of the loneliest kids in his middle school, discovered the now infamous fart years back on a sick day. Turns out, the fart was hidden in a secret level, only accessible by dorks and nerds. Ecstatic, he wrote to Nintendo Power about his revelation. What followed would be one of the biggest controversies and an ever-growing gray area in the video game world. Here's why. The patent for shitting never mentioned EQ. In fact, the method for producing shids was merely a contraption that banged two synthetically produced suction cups together. A glorified Simpsons monkey.
Yeah, we had no idea you could just take the sound and manipulate it. When we heard that fart after that kid reported on it, we tinkered around and lo and behold, we made a fart of our own.
But when does a fart become a shid? This was an issue. Countless calls for legal action from companies left and right, both from powerhouses like Sony or Nintendo, and even from smaller indie companies and startups present day, came about. In fact, one of the biggest reasons for the reported surge in unhappiness in the Silicon Valley area not only comes from the tension between typical app developers and their gaming counterparts, but within the gaming community itself. This study was conducted in 2014. the same year Sony pushed one of the most controversial initiatives of all time, claiming that any and all competitors who tamper with a SHID in any EQ range exceeding 5,000 Hz will see legal action. This changed everything. And this is where it gets messy. And this is where it gets a little complicated. So, can Sony play the game how they want? Well, it hasn't stopped them yet. Still, we can look at the creative boundaries developers have been put in by adjusting SHID levels to produce fards and see it as a good thing.
At the end of the day, I think the fact that developers haven't given up, it says a lot. Sony games are gonna have the best farts for a while, that's without a doubt. But developers are still trying and still creating great stuff, and that should be celebrated.
Realistically, this is the calm before the storm. Nintendo's patent expires in 2025, and when that happens, this creative bottleneck so many developers, even Sony, have had to face is going to expand. We've seen it with telecommunication, transportation, and even film equipment. And soon, we might just see it with SHIDs.